guaranteed for 2 years no matter how far you go. And by GMC Truck, the strength of experience.
All of these championship-winning drivers have one thing in common: Goodyear Racing Eagles. The race-winning technology that's found in the Goodyear Racing Eagles can also be found in the world's best-selling line of high-performance street tires, Goodyear Eagle Street Radials. The champions know, and it's why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
Indianapolis, Daytona, Talladega, Pomona, Baja. Why do we go to such distant places to put Craftsman tools to the test? If you're gonna guarantee a tool forever, it's gotta take the torture even guys like you dish out. 1,600 Craftsman hand tools, made in America, guaranteed forever, only at Sears. Besides, this kind of testing is fun.
No one knows more about what a truck can be than GMC Truck. The strength of experience. GMC Truck is the official truck of the NHRA.
Today, the Syracuse Orangemen put their 20-game Carrier Dome winning streak on the line as they battle the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame.
So many things to do on a perfect weekend in Southern California, but you will not find an empty seat in Pomona at the Chief Auto Parts 32nd Annual NHRA Winter Nationals. We're in the pit area right now. John Force, the defending season-long champion, a new engine going into his cars. We get ready for the funny cars. They'll be coming up right after the Top Fuels, but it's back to the Top Fuels now in our next matchup in round number 2. Bobby Baldwin going up against Pat Austin. Baldwin's got his hands full in the near lane. Austin really came on at the end of last year, Steve.
And Austin is running the same green and white car, and same crew, including his brother Mike there, they had last year. One big difference, though, they no longer have the crew chief, Lee Beard. And that could be a factor. Right now, his dad Walt certainly do a fine job. The #1 qualifier, the new national record for Pat Austin. And let's recall that Austin only joined Top Fuel last year at the U.S. Nationals. He was runner-up there. He went on to win Topeka. He went on to win the Winston Finals in October at this very track. Bobby Baldwin, a local product, born and raised in Pomona, California. And earlier today in round number 1, what a driving job he did. It was Baldwin in the far lane, Connie Coletta in the near lane. But Baldwin, the blue car, is the one you're going to be interested in.
That's right. As he got down to the end, he wins the race handily, but something happens to the chutes, and there is no parachute on the car. And what a superb job of driving Baldwin did. Watch him take this thing around the road course just like it was a sporty car.
He turned a Top Fuel dragster into a Formula One machine and survived the car intact to race here in round number 2. The fans here at Pomona, they loved it. Baldwin was a member of the Knothole gang when he was a little kid that watched the race from the golf course down at the end of the track through binoculars. And here he is in round 2 of the big one at Pomona.
Well, that little driving job that Baldwin just pulled off is what Michael Brotherson was trying to do.
Absolutely, and Pat Austin hopes he doesn't have to be challenged that way. Everybody prays for the chutes as fast as these cars are running these days. Austin, far lane. Bobby Baldwin, near lane. Baldwin with motor problems, but he was never really in this one. Pat Austin, another 4-second run. 492 at 289 miles per hour. He's got consistency and performance. He'll be awfully hard to beat. And looking on is Connie Coletta, a spectator now after losing in round 1. But let's remember, he had the glory a few years ago when he hit 290, the first to do it, and right on this very racetrack.
And right now on this very racetrack, the man that ran a 4.88, Doug Herbert, in round number 1, as he gets ready for his matchup with Joe Amato.
A little bad news, though, for the Herbert team. That run was so hard on the car, they had to change engines. Of course, that's good news for Tim Richards with the Joe Amato car.
But the bad news is he loses lane choice and has a 489 from the previous round. How about that for a record?
Well, I guarantee you, no one's ever lost lane choice with a 489. But Amato didn't get started well at this event. This was his first qualifying run. Big problems, Don Garland.
It certainly was. Watch the parts start falling off this engine, and I'm telling you, when that happens, big money is being spent. There goes the whole valve cover off the side of it. I'll tell you, they had to put a new one in. There wasn't anything they saved that time.
And now Joe Amato faces Doug Herbert, a young man, a native California, now living in North Carolina. Second-generation racer. His father, Chet, still a competitor on the Salt Lakes. Coming out of that 488, let's check in with Steve.
Pat Austin's perfect afternoon, perfect event continues. A 492 right there.
That's right in the thick of things, ain't it? There's some fast cars out here, and as long as we can be close, that's the name of the game, is just being there.
Any more speed in this car? It ran 289.
Sure there is. It's just the conditions are changing, so it's hotter out here, and we're just being a little careful.
Great job.
Thank you.
So he feels positive, and will we see 300 today? We've already seen better than 290 as we get ready for the matchup between Joe Amato and Doug Herbert.
As you can see, Joe Amato is in the near lane where Doug Herbert has put him. Doug Herbert, let's remember, the quickest elapsed time in the history of the sport at 488. Amato used to hold that honor. He's kind of like to have it back. Both drivers anticipating the Christmas tree. Will be a flashy yellow. Traction problems for Amato. Herbert blows an engine. Amato pedals the car back on the throttle, and Amato will win this wacky race. Tim Richards and Jerry Amato just, really? You sure we won that?
Wacky is the word for it, Steve, especially when you consider that Joe Amato looked out of it when he smoked his tires.
As we watch a replay, we see that was a very even start. Herbert might have taken a little advantage, but Amato's car had too much power. Smokes the tires early. It looks like he's out of the race. But a blower explosion on the Herbert car changes the picture completely. Let's watch Amato's car. Watch his right knee as he comes off of the accelerator pedal when the car loses traction. He sees Herbert's car explode. He steps back down on it. He realizes he still has the chance to win.
So our semifinal pairings are set. It'll be Kenny Bernstein against Joe Amato, with Bernstein having the lane choice. And in the other semi, Pat Austin matching up with Jim Head, where Austin will have the lane choice. Let's go to Steve.
Well, it's well known that Joe Amato carries a bag of Lucky Charms. And, buddy, they paid some big dividends that time.
I'd rather be lucky than good any day, Steve. In that case, we really needed it. I mean, the sun came out. I guess the track's gone away a little bit, and we're trying to run fast, and went up in smoke. And then I saw him. He was in front of me, then a big fireball, and I pedaled it a couple times. I knew just had to keep it smooth, don't go over the center line, and get the wind light, and we'll go from here.
You have lost lane choice to Bernstein.
Well, I knew that was the minute we smoked the tires, but the wind light's all you need. You gotta be out there to give it a shot.
What a job.
You can tell in the back of his mind, they're all thinking about 300. They all want to be the first one there, and they're all having problems because of it. Mark Sievers backing into the position now as we move to round number 2 in the funny cars. And Steve, Mark Sievers, a great story, one of the surprises.
Oh, yeah, he was the last to just squeak into the field. Not so his opponent, Cruz Pedregon. In his first ever national event in a Nitro funny car, he is qualified number 2. He formerly drove the Larry Minor Top Fuel car. Now in this funny car and showing tremendous promise, young man from Ventura, California. Mark Sievers, like I said, he barely got in the field with his 91 Olds Cutlass, owned by John Lindsay. But this car has stepped up and run 530s, even high 520s in the past. It's an erratic car, but you just never know.
Well, Sievers is certainly going to have his hands full with Pedregon because they have been the most consistent car at this event so far.
Oh, an engine explosion for Pedregon. Sievers having all kinds of problems, and Sievers, who has not run quicker than a 694 all day, will go into the Final Four. What a shot. As soon as Cruz Pedregon stepped down on that throttle, Big Daddy, that body just kind of said, hello.
Can you imagine the headache he's going to have after that impact of what it took to blow that body up?
Well, what it took was a mini A-bomb. The latches that hold those bodies down are very substantial. You can't imagine the kind of force it took to unlatch it quite like that. Parts and pieces all over the racetrack. The good news is Cruz is okay and with Don.
Boy, I bet when you stepped down on that, it rung your bell, didn't it?
Yeah, I wasn't really concerned. I'm sorry to lose the race for McDonald's. I mean, all the McDonald's people are here, and we wanted to do good for them. We're disappointed.
Well, you've done exceptionally well. The car ran real good.
Thank you.
So Cruz Pedregon not only disappointed for his entire crew, but also the sponsors who all made it out to Pomona this afternoon. We continue with round 2 in the funny cars, and we're getting the car started right now for Al Hoffman.
Al Hoffman won the last event held here at Pomona. You saw it on Sports World, the Winston Finals. And here is the surprise of this entire event, Don Garlits, Jim Epler.
I never heard of him, but we're hearing of him today, and that's for sure.
This is the first time he's ever been past the first round, and it hasn't been luck at all. Al Hoffman won the last two events of the 1991 season, the final one being right here. But earlier in this event, first came the wheel stand, then the body unlatches and enters the freestyle competition here at the Drag Racing Winter Olympics. The shins came out all by themselves. Hoffman was fine, and believe it or not, so was the body. They just repaired a little scrape on the roof, bolted it back on, and they're ready for round number 2.
And as Al Hoffman moves into position, getting ready for his matchup with Jim Epler, you can see no real damage to that body. Epler, the real surprise story, Steve.
Oh, absolutely. You heard Big Daddy. He wasn't familiar with the name, but he is now. Oh, this is a beauty. Oh, and what a surge by Epler on the top end of the racetrack. Hoffman had him beaten. Epler, tremendous power, 527 at 272 to a 530 at 277.
Beautiful start by both drivers, but Epler immediately starts to take an advantage. Hoffman ran real good, a 530, which was good for his car, but it wasn't good enough for the 527 of Epler.
So the underdog story continues as Jim Epler comes through with a close finish and a victory. We'll continue with round 2 of the funny cars.
He was the first to break 260. He was the first to crack 280. He's two-time Top Fuel World Champion, Joe Amato. And whether he comes to smash the records or just go home with them, his spark plugs are always Autolite. He's not your average Joe, but then Autolite's not your average plug.
Inside your smooth-running engine is a torture chamber. And under these grueling conditions, only one leading motor oil in every grade meets the world's toughest requirements for viscosity breakdown. Castrol. Castrol provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. So use Castrol. After all, why make things tougher on your engine? Castrol GTX, engineered for today's smaller cars.
Sony CD player in your car, and driving anywhere sounds fantastic. Hey, it's a Sony.
It was just another Saturday afternoon until those old guys came out of the woods with axes. Just when we thought it couldn't get any weirder, it did. They even brought their own music.
Awesome! Hey, fellas, how about a cold bud?
A bud? Obviously, we thought alike.
Oh, that's cold.
He is perhaps the greatest basketball player of all time, leading the Lakers to 5 world championships while being named an NBA All-Star 12 times. Sunday, the Lakers retire Magic Johnson's jersey, all part of a special doubleheader as the Pistons meet the Sixers and the Celtics take on the Lakers on NBC.
A spectacular day in Southern California, and during this recessionary period, well, movie attendance is down. Concert goers are not going through the gate quite as often, but attendance up once again at the NHRA's Winter Nationals in Pomona. Beautiful day, winter time, and John Force, the season-long champion, the last 2 years getting his cars started. As we continue with the second round of the funny cars, and he'll be facing Jerry Caminito as they start up the car of Caminito, and Jerry is from New Jersey. A gentleman that doesn't always have the big sponsorship like some of the other competitors, but a very, very game individual as well. Jerry Caminito will face John Force, who for the past several years has been on the edge of technical advancement, as Steve found out earlier.
Don't panic. There's nothing wrong with your television set. The black and white camera you're seeing me on is mounted to the outside of John Force's trailer, so that from inside they can monitor the progress of the crew. And this camera is necessary because often Crew Chief Austin Coyle will be sequestered in the brand new Blue Room, as they call it, built into the trailer. The most sophisticated diagnostic center we have seen yet on site. Here is a defectometer to check for cracks in parts. Now here is a video microscope, again to find problems before they occur. He is looking at a roller tappet That connects to the camshaft. If one of those things breaks, it can cause a blower explosion and a very nasty fire. And just to the right of the video microscope, the round black thing, that is a Magnaflux unit to find cracks in steel parts. Also, there's a brand new computer system. He can analyze every run in detail. This was the 5.23 qualifying run. It only ran on 7 cylinders. That printout tells him, and it tells him which was the bad cylinder so he can fix it. Obviously, John Force is sparing no expense when it comes to winning his 3rd Winston Funny Car Crown.
And we will be along with the technological leader. John Force has the in-car camera as he gets ready for his matchup with Jerry Caminito.
And I guarantee you, Austin Coyle spent some time in that blue room. Force did not run well first round. Oh boy, he's running well now. In fact, low elapsed time for the breed here at the Winter Nationals. John Force, 5.18 seconds at 281 miles per hour. What a shot. That was just a beauty.
We continue with the second round of the funny cars. They get the car started for Dale Pulte. And he's got to be thinking it's going to be awfully tough to top that 5.18 that John Force just posted. Pulte matching up with Del Worsham. They're starting up the car of Worsham as well.
Well, Joel, you know, Pulte came into this round the low ET at 5.19, and he sees the 5.18 up on the board by Force. He certainly knows the track is capable of holding a faster car, and he is capable of going faster, so it's entirely possible.
Let's head down to the other end of the track before the race, though, and check in with Steve.
John Force has been all over his crew chief, Austin Coyle, to give him more performance. They've been bickering and battling like they always do. 5.18. You can let up on him.
5.18?
You got it.
I'll give that boy a big old kiss, because
not a race.
We've been searching for that a long time, and playing around this weekend, Mooneyham's been stripping blowers every run, and she felt pretty awesome, but we're just really excited. It's my first Tina. I love it.
What a shot in the heat of the day.
A kiss from John Force. Austin Coyle might be hiding right now as Del Worsham gets ready for his matchup with Dale Pulte. Worsham, the Rookie of the Year last season. And for Dale Pulte, very familiar with this track and very successful here, winning twice before.
Back in 1980 and again in 1988. There's not much you could teach Dale Pulte about this sport. He is a consummate 20-car driver. Del Worsham, only 21 years of age, he'd be the first to tell you he's still got a lot to learn, even though he won 2 events last season and won that rookie title. Oh, yeah. Good race. At the big end, it is Pulte with the muscle. Dale Pulte. He had to come from behind. 5.29. Del Worsham fell off to a 5.47. Not much speed for Pulte, 262 miles per hour.
So we are now set for the final 4 of the semifinals in the funny cars as Jim Epler will go against Dale Pulte, who just picked up that victory. Epler has the lane choice. The other semi, John Force and Mark Sievers, with Force taking the lane choice. We continue with the Chief Auto Parts Winter Nationals from Pomona, California, and we move to the semifinals of the Pro Stock Division. Jim Yates and Warren Johnson going at it.
And a very popular category with the racing fans. These are more like street vehicles than any of the other pro categories. They have bodies that have to maintain that street appearance and street dimensions. They're carbureted on racing gasoline with 4 and 5-speed transmissions. You've really got to be a race car driver in one of these things. If you're late off the starting line, you are history. If you miss a gear, you're going to lose. It takes tremendous precision. And guys like Warren Johnson are knocking on the door of 200 miles an hour. Warren has been runner-up here at Pomona 3 times, has never won it. Jim Yates, a rare semifinal appearance, but this was the quickest car in the nation in testing earlier on this year. He really brings some credentials into this event. As they stage, they push a little button that locks up the front brake so the car can't move. They bring the RPMs way up, release the button, and hit the throttle at the same time. Tremendous RPM. Oh my, Warren Johnson has foul started. You saw the red light over the starter's shoulder. Ignore that first car across the finish line. It is Jim Yates and has won it in a big upset. Johnson will be suicidal. He has thrown away a 721 to a winning 724.
At Sears President's Day sale, you can count on big savings. Like this Craftsman 109-piece mechanics tool set with 3 quick-release ratchets, guaranteed forever, just $79.99. And there's more, so get to Sears today.
Today, performance cars come in a variety of designs, sizes, and even prices. So do Goodyear Eagles, the world's most successful line of performance tires. There are all-season Goodyear Eagles. New ultra-performance Goodyear Eagles. There are Goodyear Eagles for the classic and for the contemporary. temporary. No matter what performance car you own, there's a Goodyear Eagle priced for you. It's another reason we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
No one knows more about what a truck can be than GMC Truck. The strength of experience. GMC Truck is the official truck of the NHRA.
He was the first to break 260. He was the first to crack 280. He's two-time Top Fuel World Champion, Joe Amato. And whether he comes to smash the records or just go home with them, his spark plugs are always Autolite. He's not your average Joe, but then Autolite's not your average plug.
You can count on big savings during Sears President's Day sale. This Craftsman 4-horsepower chipper shredder is at Sears' lowest price ever, just $349.99. You save over $130, and there's more, so get to Sears today.
Tom Watson, Fred Couples, John Daly, and this year's hottest golfers tee off at the Buick Invitational of California next weekend on NBC.
Joe Amato's car moving to the staging lanes for the semifinals in the Top Fuel division. As Amato gets ready to go, we continue, though, with the Chief Auto Parts Winter Nationals in the Pro Stock division. We already saw that one semifinal matchup, and now we're ready for the second semifinal. Bob Glidden going up against Jerry Ekman.
And Jerry Ekman is in the bright yellow Pontiac automobile, now based out of Central Ohio. Has 5 wins overall in his Pro Stock career. A lot of guys would kill for that. Bob Glidden, comparing the two, has won 80 times, if you can imagine that. Not even our pal Don Garlits here is even close to that. In fact, no one is. A record that may never be broken. Right, they move forward to stage. The yellow car is Ekman, the red car is Glidden. No one real anxious here to get the job done, Don.
It's a staging duel, and sometimes these Pro Stocks really get into them. It's an advantage sometimes to stage last, depending on how you have your clutch pedal set up. And so in this case, I don't think Bob wants to stage first.
That would appear to be. Let's see who breaks first. It's going to be Ekman. Ekman says, I'm done playing this game. Glidden finally nudges in. A great start. But it is Ekman controlling the race. Jerry Ekman, a 7:17 at 192 miles per hour to a 7:29 for Glidden, not even in the hunt. And that is a new national record.
So the final is set now in the Pro Stock. Jerry Ekman coming off the 7.17 will have the lane choice in his final against Jim Yates. What a setting as we move back now. The in-car camera of Joe Amato and the semifinals in the Top Fuel. Amato getting ready to match up with Kenny Bernstein. Those two, along with Pat Austin, 3 of the 4 basically that most feel will get to the 300-mile mark first. Well, that 4th we have not seen so far today because it's been a very disappointing weekend for him. Earlier, though, Steve Evans had an opportunity to talk with that 4th person in the equation to find out what went wrong.
In many ways, the biggest surprise of this Winter Nationals is not what has happened, but what didn't. Don Perdome, who was favored to be #1 in Top Fuel, didn't qualify, and I know you're as stunned as we are.
Well, we sure are. We had a lot of problems with the car. It tested well at Bakersfield, at Phoenix. We're on 488, 295, and we're all set to come here and run well, but from just the minute it came off the trailer, things started going bad for us, Steve. I don't have to tell you that. You watched every run, and it's just one of those things. That's what happens in drag racing, but we'll be back.
I don't think there's any doubt that Don Perdome will fit into that equation that we're just talking about now. Will one of these two, Bernstein or Amato, surpass 300 today?
It's a classic matchup. The #1 car in the world, Joe Amato. The #2 car in the world, Kenny Bernstein. Side by side, only one will go to the final round. And it will be Bernstein. Dale Armstrong reacts. Almost a dead heat, and it was Kenny Bernstein's driving ability off the line that made it work. Don's with Dale Armstrong.
I love that driver.
Boy, I mean, when it comes down to races like this, he saves us. I mean, he's done that so many times for us. And we're just trying to creep up on it. I'm just thankful we got by that one.
Well, you are creeping up on it.
Yeah, 2,000ths at a time or 100ths at a time. I don't think it's going to make it if we don't take bigger steps.
We won, Dale. That's what counts.
So often you see photo finishes in horse races. We almost had a photo finish here at the NHRA Winter Nationals, Don.
We certainly did, Joel, but the starting line is what made the difference. Amato's car was going to be faster and quicker in this run. Kenny Bernstein has struggled this entire event with his car's performance, but he made it up on the starting line. He made the car leave first, and first it stayed the entire run.
Talk about a tough loss for Joe Amato when you stack up favorably with the numbers but still come up short.
The race of the weekend, your 498 beat his 495. Great driving.
Oh, thank you. I got to say for Wes and for Dale, to make the car go from A to B, as much as we struggled, was great for the Budweiser King. And for Amato, when you go up there, if you're not ready, he's going to blow you away. And so it pulls the best out of you to do that.
Now you got to hope that 98 will hold up for lane choice. You need all the aces.
We need everything. We need our luck at Pomona to keep right on going, but Austin will be tough, too, if he gets there.
He just may. Let's find out.
Kenny Bernstein referring to the fact that he has not really had all that much luck in Top Fuel on the quarter mile here at Pomona. Well, Kenny Bernstein is on his way to the final, and who will it be now? Pat Austin or Jim Head? Who will be matching up with Kenny Bernstein?
When it comes to luck, Jim Head in the near lane has had more than one guy could even ask for in a single day. He was in the 7s round 1, coasted down in round number 2, but now he's up against the national record holder, Pat Austin, in the far lane. Austin loses traction, cannot recover. Jim Head finally has a very decent run. 5:05, 277 miles an hour. That is the shock of the day so far. Don Garlits is back at the starting line with crew chief team owner Walt Austin to find out what happened.
When you run on the edge like that, it's hard to know when you got a little too much, isn't it?
Well, I guess it's pretty obvious, Don. They shouldn't have done that. We didn't do anything to do that. But it happened. It's drag racing.
So the final is set in the Top Fuels at Pomona. Kenny Bernstein against Jim Head, and Bernstein will have the lane choice. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
Tonight, Dorothy is arrested.
I'll get the best attorney Social Security can buy.
On the Golden Girls. Then the boys go girl watching on Walter and Emily.
My God.
And Charlie's got a whale of a new job.
Once in a while, you can trick a gal into rubbing your blowhole.
On Empty Nest. Then on Nurses, a sick Trekkie convention.
Beam us up, Scotty.
A new NBC tonight.
All parents want the best for their children. But when your whole life gets swallowed up by your kids,
very seldom we go out.
Work is stressful, and now your kids are stressful.
We try to have 4 sitters lined up.
How do I raise children? I don't even know what I'm doing.
it's bad for your marriage and your children.
Because if they're not okay, they can't expect their children to be okay.
Get off the parental fast track and start enjoying life as a couple again. Meet some parents who can show you a way out of the parent trap. Monday at 6, only on the Channel 4 News.
Quelle différence d'un jour à l'autre, 24 petites heures.
Today, C&R has a great selection of European fashions that can be ready tomorrow.
Quelle différence d'un jour à l'autre, et la différence, c'est vous.
The European Collection, exclusively at C&R.
Actor Dennis Cole. His son was brutally murdered.
Shot multiple times.
Now he's searching for answers.
My goal now is to try and find these guys.
Then, 3 months after her wedding day, a brilliant young nurse called in sick and ended up dead. And Valentine's Day Massacre. Someone sent 7 bloody greetings in one of history's most famous unsolved killings. Murder 1, tonight at 7, only on Channel 4.
How to keep your job, Monday at 5.
A jam-packed LA County Fairgrounds. As we welcome you back to the Chief Auto Parts Winter Nationals in Pomona, California. Joel Myers along with Steve Evans and Big Daddy Don Garlits. We continue now with the Funny Car semifinals. Jim Epler and Dale Poldy.
I think Dale Poldy, we're looking at the Paisano car, was the #1 qualifier, and you'd think it'd be a real favorite here. Well, that young man, Mike Klober, being added to the crew of Jim Epler, has made all the difference in that car's performance. This is now a first-rate professional team that plans to run the entire season. They have just cruised through qualifying and eliminations with these steady 520s, Don.
You know, every round, the people must be thinking, well, this is the end of Jim Epler, and every round he goes one more time. And you know there's not a person in the stands that doesn't think that Quality's not going to win this round.
He may. Then again, he may not. Epler slowed up a little bit, but still quick for this time of the day. At 5:34, 270 miles an hour. Don Garlits is with Mike Klober on the starting line.
Looks like you've put that thing in the finals, Mike.
Well, it's to be honest with you, it's my first time as a crew chief on my own in the final round. I got to thank all my guys. They've done a super job. None of the guys on my team, with the exception of myself, are professional fuel racers. These guys are all alcohol funny car guys from the neighborhood that we put together here to get here. I'm so happy. We got rushed the last round, and we're just going to give them all we can in the final. Thank you.
Go get them.
A great story developing all afternoon long in Pomona as Jim Epler has made his way to the finals. Now, who will be up against Epler as we look at the car of John Force? They get it started, of course. Force the favorite coming in this weekend for the Winter Nationals. He'll be matching up with a young man who's another big surprise this weekend, Mark Sievers. He knocked out Cruz Pedregon in the last confrontation in round number 2. Let's go down with the winner of the last race, though, is Steve.
Jim Epler and team came to Pomona hoping for a good, solid performance. Instead, you've been, well, not dominating, but you've been right there every round.
Well, that's consistency, I guess. I just thank the Black Diamond Mac friends for getting us here.
It fell off a little bit. It fell off a lot at 5:34.
Did it? Yeah. I don't know why. I think it was just a little down on power. We lost the brakes coming in here, but I think we'll get her for the final.
Well, your crew chief, Mike Klober, he knows this racetrack always gets better for the final.
Yeah, the air gets better, and track should get a little better, so we'll step her up.
Jim, get excited, buddy. You're on the way to the finals, but bad news now as Mark Sievers pops the hatch open, and Don, it looks like the day is over for Mark Sievers in his matchup with John Force.
Something went wrong with the car when they went to start it. They're not going to be in contention, and John Force will be taking a single.
As we watch the body come up on John Force's car, that's routine, by the way. I have to tell you, Mark Sievers has one of the best attitudes of any race car driver I have ever met, win or lose. And going a few rounds here today at Pomona has just been a ball for him. In fact, Don Garlits has rounded him up.
What happened?
No oil pressure. We thought it getting back together, and we sheared the drive off, found it, fixed it, but didn't have enough time to start in the pits. Came up here figuring that we had it. We changed pumps, drives, everything. I sat there for as long as I figured I should with no oil pressure, no prime, no oil.
Better luck next time.
I thought he had a good attitude. John Force going for lane choice. Racing the clock. And he will have lane choice over Jim Epler, a 5:28 at 271 miles per hour. Now that car fell off a full tenth of a second from its earlier 5:18. Let's see if Don Garlits can find out why.
Well, it slowed just a little from that 5:18.
Well, it hurt a little bit on that 18, and we didn't want to take any chances on smoking the tires. Backed it up a hair. It dropped a cylinder. That's the end result, but we can make it come back around for the final.
Very good.
Austin Coyle, crew chief, feels confident about his car and John Force as they move to the final in the funny cars. Force against Epler. Epler, he's never even won a round, let alone make it to a final, and he's going up against Force, who has lane choice.
Inside your smooth-running engine is a torture chamber. And under these grueling conditions, only one leading motor oil in every grade meets the world's toughest requirements for viscosity breakdown. Castrol. Castrol provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. So use Castrol. After all, why make things tougher on your engine? Castrol GTX, engineered for today's smaller cars.
At Sears President's Day sale, you can count on big savings. Like this Craftsman 109-piece mechanics tool set with 3 quick-release ratchets, guaranteed forever, just $79.99. And there's more, so get to Sears today.
Sony CD player in your car, and driving anywhere sounds fantastic. Hey, it's a Sony.
It's Sears President's Day sale, and this Lifestyler treadmill is a great value. 1 1/4 horsepower and speeds up to 8 miles per hour. All for only $399.99. But they're going to move fast, so get to Sears today.
Welcome back to the Chief Auto Parts Winter Nationals. The young lady we're looking at right now that's working on straightening out those shroud lines, the wife of Jim Epler, Susan Epler. Hard at work in the pit, Steve.
Yeah, but Jim, he's still making sure it's done exactly right, wouldn't you? The pressure has really shifted to this young man, Mike Klober, the crew chief for the Epler organization. He was with Don Prudhomme for a number of years. Took about 2 years off. Now he's up against one of the best crew chiefs in the world, Austin Coyle, seen here firing up John Force's car. Force sitting in the cockpit with the breather apparatus. The nitro fumes accumulate between those trailers, much worse than they do on the starting line. That will be coming up in a bit. But first, it's a Pro Stock Final.
And the Pro Stock Final has Jim Yates, the car we're looking at right now, matching up with the veteran, Jerry Ekman, who has already won on this track before as recently as a couple of years ago. Yates, on the other hand, has never won anything on the NHRA circuit. He gets his tires ready. And a little bit earlier, we were looking at Susan Epler. Well, Tony Yates was in and helping in the pits as well, changing transmission as Steve caught up with her.
What is a nice girl like you doing in a place like this?
Anything for the team, what can I say? I'm the only one that fits in the car.
Installing the transmission? I haven't seen many Pro Stock wives do this.
Well, I don't get a workout very often on the road, so see, this just keeps me in good shape.
I just said I'd tell you your old man is hanging around doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah, we like it like that.
Well, just like the Epler crew, it's a family affair with the Yates crew as well.
I tell you, the Yates crew, they are having so much fun. They started to show a lot of muscle at the end of last year, making it to the semis, but they've never made it to a final. Now that they have, can they parlay it to a win, their first ever? We're about 7 seconds away from finding out. Jerry Ekman, the bright yellow Pontiac in the near lane, the blue and white Pontiac and old General Motors Pro Stock Final round. Let's watch them. Jerry Ekman has pummeled this field today in the Bill Orendorff-owned automobile. Another teen, a 7.19 to go with his national record 7:17. A big top speed, 192 miles an hour.
Well, Jim Yates took a starting line advantage, as we can see on the screen, but it didn't last long. Jerry Ekman's car has just been too powerful all day long. In the middle, it runs so strong. He capped a perfect day with a Winter Nationals crown.
Jerry Ekman has won the Winter Nationals yet again. A great job, a 7:19, a huge speed of 192.
Oh, great, Steve. I figured it would run in the teens again. I was afraid we didn't have quite enough clutch in it because it cooled down pretty quick. But, you know, Steve, I don't even know what to say. I said if I ever got back to the winner's circle here, I'd have a big speech. I'm lost for words. All I can thank is my sponsors, Pontiac and Pennzoil, and my teammates for the job they do to let me drive this fast car.
I'm sure they thank you as well for a great job.
Well, thanks a lot, Steve. We're thrilled to be here, believe me.
What a way to start a season.
We are now ready for the showdown of the top fuels. It'll be Kenny Bernstein and the surprise on the other side of the track, Jim Head.
Kenny Bernstein only got this far through his slick driving ability. You saw that against D'Amato. Jim Head only got this far because of a lot of luck. And let's remember in the previous round, Head ran a 5:05. Starter Buster Couch, very animated. He wants these two cars up and racing. I think this is a good race, Don Garlits. This is not going to be a runaway either side.
No, it certainly isn't.
The Nitro Flames licking at the wings in twilight. It is Kenny Bernstein of 496, Jim Head of 498. But Bernstein made it look even worse than it was. He had 700 of a starting line advantage off the starting line, and that's an immense hole shot.
Well, Kenny Bernstein wasn't going to let this one get away. Look at those wheels in the air. Dale Armstrong had that car tuned to perfection, and Kenny Bernstein was wired into the starting line system. He welded Jim Head to the line and won the race.
You know, you guys got behind a little bit with this car, but you never panicked.
Well, you know, that's a hats off to Dale and Wes Cerny and the crew again on the Budweiser Quaker State Top Fuel car. And, of course, I got to say thanks to Dynamax coming aboard and Mac Tools, but they kept at it all weekend. I mean, who would have bet on us last Thursday? I sure wouldn't have.
You may be hard to catch this season.
It's a long year. You got some great competitors out there, believe me. And Jim Head and them, they ran great. I'm proud of them, too, believe me.
We all are. Kenny Bernstein, what a champion.
So Kenny Bernstein, who won here in a funny car back in '87, does it now in 92 in a Top Fuel, and a well-deserved victory lap for his crew.
Come on. Oh. Come on.
Mopar, the parts made for Chrysler Corporation vehicles.
Fresh, pure, and natural. The only beer with the genuine taste of the king of beers, Budweiser.
All of these championship-winning drivers have one thing in common: Goodyear Racing Eagles. The race-winning technology that's found in the Goodyear Racing Eagles can also be found in the world's best-selling line of high-performance street tires, Goodyear Eagle Street Radials. The champions know, and it's why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
An excited Kenny Bernstein as we welcome you back to the Chief Auto Parts Winter Nationals from Pomona, California, the first race of the National Hot Rod Association season. And we have one division to be completed. It's the finals in the funny car. We're looking at the favorite coming in this weekend, John Force, as his crew gets the car started.
John told me that they won last year with consistency. This year they're going to try to rotate the earth with every round because consistency is boring, he says.
There are plenty of drivers that would like to be as boring as John Force, and whenever you see John Force, you'll always find his beautiful girls, Ashley, Brittany, and Courtney, close by, ready for a victory lap if possible. And there is Mike Klober getting the car started for Jim Epler, one of the real surprise stories over the entire weekend. And like John Force, Jim Epler has quite a support staff himself.
Often we have shown you John Force's beautiful family, his pretty little girls. Well, he doesn't have the corner on beautiful women in his life. Over here in the Jim Epler pits, I want you to meet Mandy and Megan Epler. They're 4-year-old twins. And are we having a good time today?
Yeah.
How about you, Megan?
Yeah.
Now, Daddy's got to race John Force in the final round. Can he beat that man?
No.
Megan, I see you riding in the station wagon. You watching Daddy? You're going to cheer for Daddy?
Yeah.
Guess when you're this beautiful, you just don't have to say very much, huh?
I like your attitude, Steve. Not too tough on those questions on the girls as well. Jim Epler on the starting line and ready to go. In his matchup with John Force, under the watchful eye of Mike Klober, his crew chief.
John, do you think there's any advantage here as far as the lanes are concerned this time of the day?
I certainly don't think so. I think that Mike Klober has just got to find a little performance.
And Austin Coyle, you can bet he's been in that blue room looking for it as well. Klober against Coyle. Epler against Force. The Epler daughters against the Force daughters. This has truly come down to a family feud. The Winter Nationals Funny Car Final. It is Epler. Mike Klober has wrenched Jim Epler to his first ever NHRA title. A 5:26 to a 5:32. Don Garlits is part of the starting line celebration.
This has got to be the Cinderella story of the entire event.
It is a Cinderella story. And you know, last year when we were running terrible, I wrote this tribute to Jim. I got it in the truck there. I'd love to read it, but I always felt he was a winner even when we weren't doing so well. So anyway, I don't know what to say. I'm so excited.
Well, he's a winner today.
He sure is.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
Look at that replay. Look at it.
Susan Epler and the Epler crew celebrating his first ever NHRA win as we have an opportunity to look at it once again. That 5:26 for Epler.
Well, John Force took a starting line advantage, and it looked like his car moved out in front and was going to go for another win. But as he got